While not every person who is falsely accused of committing a terrible crime flees like Harrison Ford in The Fugitive, there are plenty of grim cases where people were tried and frequently sentenced because of events they had nothing to do with. Such erroneous accusations frequently result from racism or other prejudices, but they can also be the result of poor eyewitness accounts, deliberate setups, a misinterpreted signal, or occasionally just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even the wealthy and powerful are subject to unfounded accusations. Celebrities, unlike the majority of people, have the financial means to vigorously defend themselves in court. On the other hand, having a large following also makes you a target for bizarre lawsuits, which surface from nowhere. Here are some of the most famous people who have been accused and have either been cleared of the charges or are widely believed to be innocent. It's difficult to imagine Keanu Reeves being charged with any malicious behavior. Reeves, who is frequently referred to as the nicest guy in Hollywood, is well known for his charitable deeds, such as giving up some of his potential Matrix earnings to support filming. However, Alison Silva, a paparazzi photographer, reportedly sued Reeves in 2007, according to a Los Angeles Times report. Why? Evidently, it all began when Silva allegedly followed Keanu to a hospital while he was there to visit a relative. It seems a bit impolite to be pointing a camera at someone right now, don't you think? Anyhow, Reeves disregarded the photographer, climbed into his car, and drove slowly forward. At this point, Silva claims the actor ran into him, breaking his wrist painfully and preventing him from lifting the bulky camera he needed to do his job. Silva claimed he was hit and fled, but Keanu refuted this claim by claiming Silva tripped over his own feet. When the case reached court, the paparazzi's evidence was more easily destroyed than Silva's wrist, despite his demand for $700,000. First, a radiologist's evaluation revealed Silva's wrist fracture resulted from an injury sustained during his youth soccer career rather than a recent incident. More damagingly, Keanu's defense presented a recent video showing Silva scaling a fence to take pictures of Britney Spears while holding the too heavy camera. Silva acknowledged that his lawsuit was a money grab and that he had exaggerated the severity of his pain. In less than 2 hours, the case was dismissed. Snoop Dogg is now known for being one of the most adored rap artists in the world, as well as for spending time with Martha Stewart and openly endorsing his preferred medicinal plant. But in 1993, the Los Angeles Times reported that he had been charged with murder, which garnered media attention. Witnesses allegedly saw the rapper and his bodyguard kill Philip Woldmariam. Snoop, whose real name is Calvin Broadus Jr., arrived at the police station with his lawyer after 2 additional suspects were also detained. On a $1 million bail, he was released. What took place? The Los Angeles Times reported that the jury accepted Broadus's defense after a 3-year trial. Snoop Dogg's attorneys claimed that although the rapper's bodyguard shot Woldmariam, it was done in self-defense because the man had been pointing a gun at them. After being found not guilty, Broadus left the courtroom with his 2-year-old son in tow. Consider this to be among the strangest false accusations ever made. Nicolas Cage has certainly engaged in some wild antics over the years, but he made it a point to show the world that the ridiculous dog-stealing rumor was untrue. Here's the lowdown if you've never heard of it. Actress Kathleen Turner, who co-starred with Cage in the 1986 film Peggy Sue Got Married, made the accusation. She claimed that Cage had once come across a chihuahua he liked and stuck it in his jacket, and that the infamously eccentric actor had been pulled over twice for drunk driving in Turner's autobiography. As an eccentric actor who also happens to love animals, Cage was understandably incensed by these claims. Turner eventually acknowledged that the claims made in the book were untrue, so he must have done a good job of representing himself when he sued. Therefore, Cage was not arrested for 2 DUIs, and he most certainly did not steal a person's prized chihuahua. One of the most well-known performers of the early 2000s was Amy Winehouse, whose dramatic life story continues to be studied today. But it's important to remember that Winehouse was cleared of all charges when the punching a dancer dancer in the face incident actually went to trial. The burlesque dancer in question, Shireen Flash, reportedly tried to take a photo with Winehouse while she was backstage. Winehouse requested that the dancer wait until she had finished speaking to a friend before participating in the photo opportunity because she felt intimidated and scared by the dancer. According to reports, Flash disobeyed this order and the dancer instead draped herself over Winehouse's body. The singer claimed that she pushed Flash away out of fear in return, and Flash asserted that she had been punched in the eye. What actually took place? The fact that nearly every witness was inebriated at the time of the encounter complicated matters. The judge decided to focus on the physical evidence instead of Flash's face because it did not show the sort of injury that often occurs when there is a forceful punch to the eye, supporting Winehouse's account of what happened. As a result, the assault accusations were dropped. At the beginning of the 21st century, Sean Combs, a rapper better known by the stage names P. Diddy and Puff Daddy, was the target of criminal accusations. The New York Times claims that 3 people were shot during an altercation between men working for Combs and Michael Allen, a felon, in a Manhattan nightclub. Charges were filed against Combs, his bodyguard, and his protege. The prosecution also contended that Combs attempted to buy his driver's cooperation by offering $50,000. Combs claimed he was not involved in the shooting and added that he had been afraid he was a target when the shots were fired. According to a 2001 Los Angeles Times article, Combs and his bodyguard were ultimately found not guilty, much to Combs's apparent relief. 10 years later, when a woman by the name of Valerie Turks filed a lawsuit against Combs, he would have to deal with an even stranger and bizarrely fabricated claim. Turks claimed that P. Diddy stole a casino chip worth zillions of dollars, in addition to accusing him of fathering her child 24 years ago and never paying child support. Indeed, zillions. Even stranger, she asserted that Combs, his ex-girlfriend Kim Porter, and Rodney King were involved in the planning of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Yes, the man who was brutally beaten up by LA cops in 1991. Unsurprisingly, nothing happened in this case. From 1999 to 2002, Jamaican-born football player Orlando Bowen established himself with the Toronto Argonauts. When the linebacker received a new contract 2 years later, everything seemed to be going well until 2 undercover police officers abruptly pulled him over. He was severely beaten by these officers. Cocaine was placed on him, and he was then put in the back of the car, claims CBC. Bowen suffered a concussion as a result of the assault, and after that, he was imprisoned for 12 hours without receiving medical care. Going back over what occurred that evening, Bowen stated that, going back over what happened that night, there really are no other reasons other than I'm a minority. His attorney concurred, telling the media, "You don't need a police officer to say, I did this to him because he's black," in a statement. 2 plus 2 can be combined. One of the arresting officers had been dealing cocaine. It was discovered during Bowen's trial, and Bowen was found not guilty. Unfortunately, the severe concussion he received during the attack put an end to his football career. In retaliation, Bowen sued the police force for $14 million. The case was eventually settled out of court. That's all for today. Which story surprised you the most?